Just when you thought that From Software couldn't possibly outdo themselves again, along came Elden Ring, a generation-defining action RPG which soared to even greater heights. Elden Ring's vast open world and more accessible difficulty undeniably helped it become the developer's best-selling game to date. But absolutely nothing about it is an act of artistic compromise. It's still a tough, brutal game that will make short work of the impatient and unprepared, and 4 years removed from the honeymoon period of its release, it still stands tall as FromSoft's finest hour. But here's the question, you've probably beaten it by now, so what do you play next? Well, that's where we're here to help, because we've come up with 10 upcoming games that are kind of like Elden Ring that you definitely need to add to your wishlist. So, with this in mind, I'm Jules, this is FGS, and these are, as I've just said, 10 upcoming games like Elden Ring you need to know about. Number 10, Black Myth: Zhong. Black Myth: Zhong is a follow-up to one of the most beloved Soulslikes of the last few years, that being 2024's ludicrously popular Black Myth: Wukong. This seemingly standalone follow-up will be primarily inspired by the titular figure from Chinese folklore, a Taoist deity who vanquishes ghosts and evil entities with an army of 80,000 demons at his disposal. That sounds metal as hell. While we don't know much else about the game yet, it's fair to assume that developer Game Science will be aiming to serve up more of the cinematic storytelling, demanding action, and cultural specificity that made the first game such a hit. But considering that Black Myth: Wukong only released in August 2024, we probably won't get our hands on this for a few more years. However, Game Science did recently drop a 6-minute in-engine tech demo which confirmed one thing above all else, and that is that the food in this game is going to look unreal. I mean, do not play this game on an empty stomach. Number 9, Lords of the Fallen 2. Lords of the Fallen developer Hexworks has straight up praised Elden Ring for helping turn the Souls-like mainstream. Either way, it sure seems like fans of the previous game can expect a beefed up sequel that doubles down on all that crunchy action and dark fantasy lore. Lords of the Fallen 2 takes place 100 years after the original game's event, where the umbral calamity has continued to spread, allowing malevolent entities to slip between worlds, leaving you with a whole lot of cleaning up to do. Hexworks has promised players a more fluid and dynamic combat experience, albeit one that will also punish mistakes more harshly. Quite the selling point to many a Souls fan then. On top of this, there will be more encouragement to experiment around with builds, as might ultimately be the key in defeating tricky, epic, cinematic bosses. Lords of the Fallen 2 is expected to release for PC, PS5 and Xbox consoles sometime in 2026.
Hey, whoa. I know that you're enjoying this video. Hope you're having a great time enjoying whatever this is. But at the same time, if you're enjoying it that much, then hey, why don't you subscribe? Come on, guys. Come on, help me out. Helps the team out as well. You can take part in joining the FGS family. And also, it means that every single day you'll be fed all of our daily gaming content. What a treat. Now get out of here. Get out of your way. Bye.
Number 8, Tides of Annihilation. You needn't be a fan of Elden Ring to appreciate the heck out of Tides of Annihilation, but you know what, it sure doesn't hurt. The debut game from Eclipse Glow Games appears to be an absolutely bonkers Arthurian-spiced mishmash of Elden Ring, Shadow of the Colossus, and Expedition 33. This character action game casts players in the role of Gwendolyn, the lone survivor of an otherworldly invasion which brought London to its knees. Gwendolyn will seek out the Holy Grail in order to save her sister, restore the world, and get revenge on the demigods responsible for all of this. But here comes the rub. Gwendolyn is able to summon spectral forms of the Knights of the Round Table in order to take on the game's many towering bosses, and even switch fluidly between the knights during combat to pull off devastating combos. Even though Tides of Annihilation differs from Elden Ring in quite a few ways, namely not being a card-carrying Souls-like and, gasp, even offering difficulty options, it nevertheless is clear from the stunning dark fantasy aesthetics and demanding action that it is playing in the same sandbox. Number 7, Soulframe. Easy though it is to roll your eyes to the back of your head at great speed when you hear the words live service, it's also easy to give Digital Extremes the benefit of the doubt, considering the marvellous job they've done with Warframe over the years. Their new free-to-play project is called Soulframe, a massive multiplayer action RPG set on the world of Alka, which is violently occupied by a technologically advanced force of distant colonizers known as the Ode. You'll take control of the Envoy, a warrior whose arm is infused with magic, empowering them to defend Alka from its brutal interlopers. It's up to you whether you go solo or rope in some friends, but a teeming open world awaits you either way, accompanied by Souls-like combat with a greater emphasis on precision than in Warframe itself. In terms of aesthetics and themes though, Digital Extremes has cited direct influence of something altogether unexpected: Studio Ghibli films, especially the brilliant Princess Mononoke. And for anyone already preemptively wringing their hands about the game's long-term prospects in such a crowded live service field, remember that Digital Extremes has kept Warframe going from strength to strength since 2013, so yeah, if anyone knows how to do it, it's these guys. Number 6, Beast of Reincarnation. Of all the developers you might expect to serve up a Souls-like eventually, Pokemon developers Game Freak were surely right at the bottom of the pile, but they clearly mean business with their mesmerizing new AAA action RPG, Beast of Reincarnation, which is set in Japan in the year 4026. As protagonist Emma the Sealer and her dog companion Ku navigate a post-apocalyptic land sitting on the precipice of extinction. Despite Game Freak's prior pedigree, the game has been designed as a demanding action game in the vein of From Software titles like Elden Ring, as well as Nier Automata, Potato Patata, and Black Myth Wukong. Emma can use her plant manipulating abilities to aid both combat, where she'll fight mutant monsters and robots, and traversal. The gameplay footage released so far makes it clear that you'll need a sure mastery of parrying to make it far, and all in all, it seems like a seriously impressive step up for its developer. Number 5, Valor Mortis. Souls-like by their nature are almost always third-person affairs, so Valor Mortis has quite the novel selling point, because it's effectively a first-person Souls-like. We'll just ignore the Kingsfield games, just pretend they don't exist for now. And considering it's coming from One More Level, the studio behind the thrilling Ghost Runner games, it's very easy to be excited. Valor Mortis will take place in an alternate 19th century Eastern Europe where Napoleon's never-ending war has brought forth a supernatural plague. Players take control of William, a soldier in the French Imperial Army who's brought back from the dead and must fend off his undead former comrades using an array of newly bestowed supernatural abilities. Combat primarily involves William slicing through enemies with a cutlass, but of course, blocking, parrying, and dodging are very much expected. Players will also have access to a flintlock pistol to weaken enemies, though the scarcity of ammo means that you'll need to choose your opportunities carefully. This fresh stylistic spin on the Souls-like should add up to quite the inspired riff on one of the gaming's most well-saturated genres. Number 4, Stonemachia. Souls-likes don't get much more unique than Stonemachia, which is certainly one for the chess nerds among us. Set in the land of Medhalan, players assume the role of a pawn known as Zephyro, who possesses the unique ability to transform into other chess pieces to aid his quest in taking on an army of angels. His ultimate goal? Well, it's to fight his way back into heaven by any means necessary. As original as the central chess piece mechanic is, it's clear that Stonemachia is taking more than a few cues from Elden Ring. Beyond its intense boss fights and towering enemies, the gorgeously ornate locales are also similarly inspired by classic European architecture. It's a flabbergastingly ambitious effort for a self-described zero-budget project produced by just a few passionate developers, but if Stonemachia is even a fraction as good as it looks, it'll put the folks over at Crossfall Games firmly on the map. Number 3, Prison of Husks. Nostalgia is, and always will be, one hell of a drug, and so it's little surprise that in recent years the low-poly PlayStation aesthetic has certainly enjoyed quite the comeback. With that in mind, Prison of Husks is a medieval-style Souls-like rendered in the style of a PS1 game, where the protagonist wakes up in an apparently heavenly afterlife only to discover it's not quite so idyllic. The usual high-stakes combat is the order of the day here, requiring you to control your stamina to keep your pace with foes, often many times larger than yourself. Glasshead Dolls has cited the earlier Souls games as influencing its complex labyrinthine level design, while combat begs players to experiment with different weapons and styles in order to overcome extremely powerful enemies. Prison Husks started out as a prototype which can still actually be played on itch.io, and the popularity of that prototype caused the developers to then pursue a full-fat game in earnest. It certainly looks like it's going to fill a few niches all at once, and that is for damn sure. And there's a demo out for the game right now on Steam. Number 2, Phantom Blade Zero. Now, it's worth pointing out that Phantom Blade Zero developer S-Game doesn't think of their wuxia-infused action RPG as a Souls-like at all, liking it more to, in their own words, Resident Evil but with blades. I mean, that's just Devil May Cry then, why didn't they just say that? Players will assume the role of an elite assassin called Soul, who serves a shadowy organization called the Order. After being framed for the murder of the Order's leader, a gravely wounded Soul embarks on a mission to uncover the conspiracy before his time runs out. Indeed, Soul's primary weapons of choice are blades, with players needing to chain a flurry of attacks with blocks and parries together in order to make it far in combat, as is expected from just about any action RPGs these days. Phantom Blade Zero is set in a semi-open world where players will be funneled through linear sections that are then broken up in more free-flowing ones, as S-Games has notably compared to the pre-Elden Ring From Software games. Even so, its challenging action and dark fantasy setting don't feel a million miles away from Elden Ring itself, though the game's rooting in the wuxia tradition alongside steampunk and cyberpunk influences should help it stand out in an undeniably crowded genre. And number 1, the Duskbloods. And you couldn't close out this list without mentioning the next outing from Software themselves, the Duskbloods. The Duskbloods is a Switch 2 exclusive action RPG RPG with a multiplayer focus, allowing up to 8 players to partake in both PvP and PvE mayhem. Players will choose one of more than a dozen customizable vampire-like characters called Bloodsworn to compete with each other and NPC foes in matches around various maps. Elden Ring Night Reign of course proved what From Software could do with a multiplayer template, and the Duskbloods seems like a spirited, more competitive evolution of that idea. That said, the Duskbloods is very clearly taking a major stylistic cue from Bloodborne, enough so that some even believed it to be Bloodborne 2 during its initial reveal, and that means that you can expect lush, gothic locales and a bevy of inventive boss fights. But for anyone worried that From Software is leaping off from the single-player train altogether, fear not, my friends, for director Hidetaka Miyazaki assured fans that more traditional single-player experiences are still a core part of the studio's ethos. Thank God, right? And the Duskbloods releases for Switch 2 later this year. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 upcoming games like Elden Ring you need to know about. Hope you enjoyed that, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Instagram and Blue Sky, where I'm at RetroJ, but the O is a 0. Hope to see you over there, my friends, and hope you treat yourself well with love and respect, because you deserve the bloody best, alright? And get out there and smash your life goals today. I believe in you. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.